Testing. 1, 2, 3. Yo, yo, yo. Can you hear me? Just getting ready for the show. Going to be working on that track again. I know it's many times working on the track, but different aspects of it today. Today I want to do a little more arranging and maybe just finally mix it and maybe master it too. We'll do a little mastering today. Sausan is on the Restream bot. I guess that's coming from Twitch. I'm not sure. But I see you, Sausan. I hope you hear me. Sausan was a student of mine. Very talented. Beautiful music. Simple Sam. Simple Sam has arrived. Martin beat you again, Simple Sam. Just letting you know. Mastering, I did say mastering. We'll be working on this track. We gotta go from beginning to end. I'm not giving up on this track until we're done with it somehow. Oh, thanks. Daniel Campoverde says this sounds beautiful. Yes, this is a track I made on my modular stuff. Just kind of a jam, really. I have a few of these recorded. I should switch it up and play a new one next week. It's kind of become the current theme of the show to open, in a way. Ready to begin here. Just a few more seconds and we'll start the show. Let's do it. Hey everybody, you caught me dancing again. Welcome back. I'm Abe Duque. I'm here every Friday at 1 p.m. at 343 TV. You're watching the streams that we do during the week. I guess we do Fridays and Saturdays and sometimes Tuesdays. Tomorrow, John Selway will be doing his techno / electro Saturdays at 1 p.m. as well. Well, no, not true. Tomorrow, John's show is going to be moved an hour early to 12, not 1 p.m. So those of you that come and visit John Selway at his techno Saturday show or electro Saturday show as well, come an hour earlier. If not, you're going to miss him. He'll be there at 1 p.m. We have a lot going on again this weekend with streams and so on at the school. So we had to kind of move the schedule a bit because we need John for other things later on in the day. Anyway, my name's Abe Duque. As I told you, I'm an instructor at 343 Labs. 343 Labs is a school. Come to our website, 343labs.com. Sorry, almost forgot there. Check out our class schedule. And maybe you can take a class with us, maybe with me even. I have plenty of classes starting all the time. Let's see. Today, we're going to get right back into it. Let's see. People are talking in the chat. Martin Crockett sent a pizza emoji to Simple Sam. I guess it's dinner time in Europe, and those European people are eating their dinner as they watch the show. I guess that's what's going on. I know that it's lunchtime here in New York. Maybe the American people or the people here on this side of the pond are eating their lunch at this time. If you're eating lunch or eating dinner, let me know what you're having. I'm very curious. Write it in the chat, and I'll let everybody else know what we're all eating for today. But yeah, I know, for example, Martin and Simple Sam always get out the TV dinners and their little TV dinner trays and sit in front of the computer and watch the show. That's, I think, a ritual for them on these days that we do the streaming. Anyway, let's get back into the track that we were working on. We've been working on this track for a few days now. We've been, let's see, hold on. So, okay, something about Simple Sam is drinking Belgian beer, but I don't know if he's seen my thing about asking what he's eating, but this is what they do, yes. Okay, let me go back into, I don't want to get kale salad. No, Martin Crockett's eating kale salad. All right, spirulina smoothie. Okay, for Mikus. And, well, I'll have a look in a little bit and see what else you guys put in there as far as what you're eating for dinner or lunch, that is. All right, let's get back into this track here. So, as I mentioned, we have been working on this track, of course, for, if you guys have been on this channel for the last few Fridays, you've seen that I've been playing with this track. We wrote it from start to finish here. We last week did a bunch of cool little effects to it. Today I wanted to just get in there and start to cut it up a little bit. It's a little too long, and then maybe EQ it a little better and add some mixing. And yes, I want to master this track. I want to just get this track done and mastered. Matter of fact, I have put some stuff on the master last week. I'm going to take off just the limiter for the moment I had put on there. But we'll put some more stuff later. But let's listen a little bit to what we're dealing with. And I'm just going to work fast this time. I'm not going to take my time here. So we've got the 303 playing into the kick. I think everything gets shifted, and actually the track feeling starts here at the I think bar number 6. So I'm gonna cut real quick everything up until then. And the way I used to delete things when I first started working with Ableton, the way I used to delete things, I used to just highlight everything and then hit delete, and then select everything and then kind of drag it over. And that is, not the best way of doing it. The best way of doing it is to highlight everything and then going and deleting time. A lot of people don't know. People work with Ableton and they don't know that delete time is actually the most efficient way to get that done, because that'll take that and slide everything over. And now I'll just be able to start right there. I don't want to start with the kick. I want to leave my kick out for a little bit. And I don't want to start with that percussion either. I want to give that percussion a little time to work its way in there. So I'm going to come in here and kind of eliminate it for the moment. I'll get it all the way up to here. So let's see, starting here, just to get a nice little start. Got the bass happening there. Maybe while that's happening, I'll throw in a little bit of the beginning part here. Throw that part in there. Just to kind of give me a little bit of a creepy beginning to it. And that's already popped in there. I'll do that right from the beginning and let that happen till just right there. Let's see what happens here. Okay, it's good enough for now. Maybe a little bit more effect. Maybe, hold on, let me open this up a little better and grab the mixer and grab a delay and then just put a little bit more of an effect in the end of it so that it just kind of makes way for the kick to come in. Not powerful enough for me. Let's extend that a little longer, that effect. Okay. And let's keep that going. So that's gonna, maybe we add to this kick here, we add another filter. And grab the auto filter, drop that in there, switch that to a high pass where we start with the kick like this. And where's that kick? Let's get that bigger here. Actually, you made it smaller. I want it bigger. Okay, that's the kick bass group, but I want actually the kick to be bigger. So I could play with this envelope here. So I want to start with the, let's go the other way. Actually, let's edit the on-off switch on it so that when it starts with the filter on and then it turns off at a certain point. So we'll go 4 bars. Is that 4 bars? That's more than 4 bars. Let's do up until here, maybe. Right there. So just get 4 bars of pre-roll. And boom. Okay, I want to kind of fade those in. I don't want them to come in at once. I think what I have on the group, I have a filter on the group that's doing this kind of crazy thing. I'm going to add another filter to it just to kind of fade them in a bit with filtering them in. I know filtering in with something that's already been filtered is interesting and fun. So I'm going to grab that and start with this. And to just kind of just raise that. And that'll let that kind of fade in there. Okay, that's cool. All right. Okay, things are going already. think we shouldn't have to wait that long for that hi-hat to come in. So let's see where this comes in, and maybe get rid of the hi-hat. I mean, get rid of some of the area here. Just chippity chop things away. So by the time this comes in and fills in, there's probably 2 bars here that I can cut out. Maybe this bar here and this bar here. And we'll do the same thing. Delete time. Let's see. Now that might not match up with the 303 because the 303 is kind of polyrhythmic. So let's see how that fits in there. Actually, that worked. That worked nicely. So when I'm doing these delete times, everything is getting cut. So, okay, that's working. Okay, that came all right in for me. I think the hi-hat can come out there where that comes in. It doesn't need to be in there when it comes in. Because then it'll give me opportunity to bring it in later again. Okay, that's nice. Okay, nice. And okay, that's nice. That's working. Okay, you gotta find a way to get. Maybe the hi-hat should come in. Let's do it right there. Bring that in there. Okay, pretty good. Okay, I'm going to want to bring out that massive sound, which is this guy. So I don't want to run it too long. See what happens if we go all the way to the end over here and just bring it all out. Be merciless with my cuts here. I'm going to try a very brave merciless cut. Just delete time here. You know, when you have 10 minutes worth of track and you need to kind of cut it down, you got to figure a way to do it. So it gets to here, and it actually worked nicely. I don't even need the massive in there anymore. I can get rid of that. Actually works really nice. Good way out of that massive. Let's try to listen to that again. So I'm gonna want to drop more stuff in there because I want it to be a delineation between 2 areas of the track. So I'm just gonna drop that filtered percussion, and maybe the snare can also go. Where's that snare? And that area doesn't need to be in there. Remember, in arrangements, less is always more. For sure, less is always more. Let's get rid of that. And let's grab one of those kind of fills with those transitional elements we did last week, and just drop it in there. See if that helps out. Okay, that's going really hard right now. I'm gonna move that over some and make it so that it comes in when it's a little softer. So let's see what that. Okay. Now, we had these vocals that we recorded last week. Maybe this is the good spot to start dropping in those vocals. I don't know if you remember those vocals. Remember, I went into a doctor's office and I saw a sign on the wall that had this inspirational sort of speak on it, and I just kind of recorded myself saying them.
All right, people.
Maybe
legendary.
Let's move this over here. Let's try that. I don't need hi-hat here.
All right, people. Be legendary.
So we're going to cut it up a little bit, space it out a little more. Command E for cutting it there and moving it.
All right, people. Be legendary.
Okay. Some of these I might eliminate.
Challenge yourself.
I'm going to eliminate that one.
Be an individual.
Challenge that one out of there.
Do the right thing.
I'm going to move that one over
Believe in
here.
your vision.
Let's see what this goes here. Cut this part here. Move it over.
All right, people. Be legendary.
And maybe this should come
right thing.
And then something should come in right in there. Maybe I'm waiting too long with that punch box kick drum. Let's see. Just
all right, people. Be legendary. Do the right thing.
All right, let's keep that for now. Very inspirational, everybody. Thank you. I'll move this over, and maybe here I'll say something.
Believe in your vision. Find your own magic.
I'll just do find your own.
Make a real difference.
Find your own magic.
Find your own magic. Have character.
That character is a little clunky.
Make a real difference.
And
believe you can do anything, and you will.
Yeah, let's just keep that right there. All right, so you see my process, and I don't want to spend the whole stream on this kind of process of elimination and cutting things down and narrowing things down. The track started at over 10 minutes, way over 10 minutes. It was 11 minutes, and now it's just about 10 minutes. I don't. Eventually, I'm going to cut it down to maybe 6 minutes tops. But at this point, let's move on and let's do some other processing to the track. I wanted to work on the kick and the bass combo here. And they sound great, but I think they could sound a little more powerful. Let's add some Pultec to that. The Pultec EQ, for those that know me and have been, watching me use this thing, it's one of my favorite EQs to add bass to things with. So if you remember, we added actually a little Pultec to the kick drum already and to the bass line already. But together, and we merge those together into a group where we put the Magic Death Eye in. Let me just show you the Magic Death Eye. Magic Death Eye being this amazing emulation of the Fairchild 670 that has a 150 hertz filter, which is awesome. Let's increase how much we drive this thing, and let's turn up the threshold here so we get really pumping. And let's add some of this Pultec. So let's increase that there. And remember the Pultec, you boost and then you attenuate at the same time. And yes, you're boosting and attenuating theoretically the same frequency, but it's not really here. The idea is that in the manual it says it's boosting this frequency and cutting this frequency, and it tells you not to do it, to do one or the other. But what you do is you boost and you cut, because the boost is just a little bit ahead of the cut. So you get this kind of tilted pattern going on there. And let's see what that sounds like without it. And with it, just that much more present and powerful together. I'm just going to keep that there. Let's put it back in the mix. Yeah, I like what's happening now. Let's look at some of the other parts. So what I'm going to generally be doing in tracks like this is that, for example, a part like this one that's playing now, this massive part, I really don't need sub bass in it, but let's look at it under a spectrum analyzer. Looking at it under the spectrum analyzer, you'll see that these are the notes that I really want from this thing. And it has very low frequency stuff happening down here. It's not meant to carry bass or sub. I wanted to clean up a little bit so that I could have all the other things that are meant to carry bass and sub be more present and be easier to cut through. So I'm just going to grab an EQ and throw that here in front of the spectrum. And then I'm going to just cut out. Let's see how far I can get before I lose the feeling of it. So now I definitely lost the feeling of it. And back here where this fundamental here is, that's a good place to be, but I'll pull back just a little bit, and I'm ending up at like a 44 hertz cut, which is good because this is giving me a good relief here. So that's not a bad thing to have in there. Let's keep on going. Let's take the solo off of that. Where's the spectrum? Look at that spectrum out of there. And get the inputs and outputs out of there. Let's see some other parts that we might want to deal with this way. Let's see what's happening just for fun. Let's see what's happening in the spectrum on the hi-hats. And these are working fine. I think they're very nice and relieved. But a lot of times the reason I looked here, because a lot of times what will happen is that you'll go into the into a hi-hat part, and you'll suddenly realize there's like a lot of bass going on in the hi-hat, and you're like, well, I don't really want subs from my hi-hat. So so you do need to check down there to see what's happening, to see if you're carrying any low end, and there is kind of some low end artifacts here. And just for good form, I'm just gonna come in and take an EQ to it. And if you notice, when I drop my EQ 8 from Ableton, I've already saved it, my default preset, to come in with this cut ready to go, because I'm often doing exactly this, and it speeds up my workflow if I could just have this kind of filter ready for me, ready to be cut that way. So let's get back in there. Let's take this out. Some other parts real quick. That snare sounds nice. Let's look at it under the spectrum once again to see if we're... So this one, it's also kind of okay, but just out of good form. I'm going to add an EQ there. I do feel like the snare could have a little more life to it, and I don't want to start messing with the tone and stuff here, because I kind of like the way that it sounds from the device. So what I'll do is I'll grab my favorite sort of EQ for giving things life, which is the Neve 1073. And where is that? The Neve 1073. Yeah, we'll just drop that in there. Simple Sam says, so question about the Pultec. I have the Clipper plugin, Boss Little Clipper, that also has a push and a pull and used the same way. Is it similar or different? Because it is a clipper. All right, so let me stop this for a second. Yes, this Pultec style of things, this Pultec, you can Google the whole Pultec bass trick thing, right? This inspired a lot of EQs that weren't necessarily Pultecs, but had this sort of thing built into it. So a lot of EQs that you see out there won't be called Pultec. You know, some of them are straight out emulations that are called like the Better Maker, for example, or something like that. But some EQs are Pultec inspired. You get that in like I think in Isotope. Has an EQ, I think, in the Ozone. I may be wrong, but I think it is there that is Pultec inspired, and you'll see that it has this kind of setup that the Pultec has. So I wouldn't be surprised if this EQ that you're talking about is exactly that, set up exactly because of that reason in that way. It really is a force to be reckoned with, that whole Pultec bass trick. For years, many years, decades, this has been used by engineers to get that bass really tight and really round and delicious, like you'd want to eat it. So yes, I believe that we're dealing with the same thing here. So let's get this 1073 going on this snare though. So where's my snare going? So let's add a little bit of air. I love the air that this thing adds. So this, you don't need much, just a little bit. And that's nice and all, but now that we're here experimenting with EQs on snares, let's try another EQ. Just because I want to show you all my favorite EQs, I guess. But 560 for drums, maybe the 550 is more popular for drums, but this 560 is amazing because you could really mold the sound in such a way that could just fit to being exactly what you want. And you think this thing doesn't sound like it's doing much to it while I'm working on it now, right? But give it a little bottom there. Not too much bottom. We kind of worked on getting it out. But now listen to that, and I'm going to A-B that. See how that... that life that it breathes into it. These EQs, these vintage EQs, they're all about breathing in that life. Let me add both of these in here. And while I'm at it, might as well go all the way, because this EQ here is very popular for snares and drums and kick drums, which is the API 550. And this one is an asymmetrical EQ. So what you do with it is this outer ring here gives it more gain, and this one chooses the frequency. But the cool thing about this is that being asymmetrical and all, as you push it higher, the band gets more narrow. And some people would say that this is probably the most well-suited EQ for kick drums and basses. I mean, and snares, not basses. Let's see what that's sounding like. Oh, Funk Devoid is here. Look at that. Hey, Funk Devoid. Yes. Good to see you in here. That's a nice surprise. So let's try this one versus this one. And a little bit of air. too much to have them all. Can't have them all. Actually, today I'm going to do the 560. I'm going to keep the 560 and get rid of the other ones. Because that one's kind of just giving it the body that I wanted it to have. And let's keep going. Oh yeah, that snaps now. That sits really nicely in there. Ah, Rave 1980 is here. Okay, so we're about halfway through the show today. I just wanted to once again point out that we are 343 TV. We come from 343 Labs, which is a school. Come on our website, 343labs.com. Maybe you could take a class with us. Would be great. This is always a very nice thing when I can actually meet you guys and, have you in my classrooms, both virtually or in our Berlin and New York City schools. Let's see what else. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. Also, give me a like if you like the show today. It's always nice to impress my friends with those likes. And yeah. So let's keep going. So now I wanted to start treating this master bus a bit. Let's grab a area where we're playing now. Let's say towards the end, and just loop that area here, and add some master bus treatment. So my way of doing this thing now, those of you that have taken my mixing and mastering classes know this already, but you know that I always believe that reductive EQ is first, and even once we have, it's pretty loud, let me lower this a little bit. Even once we have, even once we've kind of worked on every track individually and done reductive EQ there, and even all the other things that we're going to do, we're going to treat the master as a kind of another track somehow, because the accumulation of all the parts as they come into the master, changes the game for that track. And you can't assume that just because you did all the reductive EQ on every track that maybe it can't further benefit from reducing the maybe low end that you don't need in the master. But let's start. So the first consideration that I always talk about is taking the master and putting the bass, the subs in the bass in mono. So meaning this utility from Ableton lets me do it really easily, which is I take throw it in there and turn on this bass mono button, and everything under 120 hertz goes into mono. And that is going to, it's not a deal breaker as far as, the track. Usually a track can survive without this, but a lot of times, engineers have been doing this for ages so that on dance floors or on systems, it's a better setup for preventing phase cancellations from happening. So if there's like some sort of low end sub sort of phased information, you can prevent maybe that from happening when it comes out of speakers, that they cancel out in the room or in the space that you're in. The biggest tragedy in phase cancellation is that your subs get canceled. So quick and fast thing to do is just throw this device on there and put that bass mono thing and get that going. It's not going to change the sound very much of the record. Now let's go on. The next consideration is maybe we'll have to determine whether we're going to cut the low end or not to kind of to make things kind of clearer. Here's what happens. On 4 on the floor music, this was 4 on the floor, meaning house music, techno, anything disco, anything that has a 4 on the floor. You get a kick drum that comes at you relentlessly, boom, boom, boom. Right now we're 120 BPM, right? So maybe it comes at you at 120 BPM, or maybe faster or whatever. The kick drum is relentless. It's adding, this low end pressure that just, it's pushing that, making that cone push that air, right? And now together with that, you have like a bass line that's trying to compete. Well, not even compete. You're trying to make. We worked really hard on making a pocket out of the bass line kick combination, but the bass line is doing its own thing, and its kick is doing this thing, and there's a big fight that's happening in this area. This would not be the same in another type of music. Say, let's take trap or something like that, where you'd have like big 808 that would just go boom, and then come out and then boom again, right? And wouldn't have much competition. It wouldn't have another kick in there. It might have a little tappy little kick in there, but it's more for accents than anything else. But it wouldn't have another bass line trying to do other stuff in there. And the beat PM would be a lot slower. So what would happen is that, it's not going to be relentless in that sense, that the initial pressure just keeps on coming at you. So because of this, in 4 on the Floor, I tend to cut out everything under, say, 20 hertz. Even though I think that would hurt in a track like in a trap or some dubstep that might be, just using some or bass music of sorts. I might want to keep that in if that would be that type of music. But in 4 on the Floor, it's just probably best efficient to just cut out the low end that you don't need, sonic stuff, 20 hertz and below maybe, to just help improve that fight that happens between the kick and the bass in that area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an EQ and go to town on it. Let's see. The Fab filter will do for this. And where's the Pro Q3? Just throw that in there. And now that's in there, I'm just going to make a little cut here, probably maybe around 36 dB per octave, and move that over to maybe 20 hertz or so, thereabouts, maybe even a little higher than 20 hertz, just to get that. So that's gonna take this stuff here that's happening down here and kind of relieve it, so that the fight that really is happening right around here could have a better time in surviving. So the next thing I'm going to do is another consideration in the reductive EQ phase of my mastering process, which is I'm going to take, I'm going to seek out some resonant frequencies. Now, there's always, especially in 4 on the Floor, there's always a resonant frequency that appears around 200 hertz. So I'm going to take one of these very thin bands here and just go find that boxy sort of 200 hertz area, and there that is. That's the 200 hertz carpet that the Swedish call. The Swedish call this the carpet. That's what I've heard. If you're Swedish, please let me know if you've ever heard of this carpet situation. And once I've identified that very boxy area and usually that bloated sort of low end that doesn't make anybody happy, we'll just pull that out and just make a hole there. So I'm going to look for more, and I'll do this to about the 2K area in the way that I'm doing it now. And it's tricky because, you know, you hear that ringing, and that's the ringing that you're sort of trying to get rid of. But you got to make sure that the ringing is always there, regardless of how the notes might change. And that is annoying and making things harsh. See, that was ringing and then it disappeared because it was just a note that was playing. And I think this is coming from the percussion, but it's a little harsh for me, and I'm just gonna bring it out a little bit. Simple Sam says he has not seen the carpet at IKEA. But you gotta hear it, Sam. All right, so let's see if I find any other little resonances around there. You know, you gotta be careful not to push too much because everything up here sounds like a resonance, right? I'm just gonna let everything live from that point on, but I'm gonna check for resonance in a different type of way. I'm gonna look for it with a de-esser. So from like 2K and above, I look for resonances with a de-esser because a de-esser is a more kind of a more subtle tool to find resonances. And right now I'm focusing in on a frequency between, you know, whatever this is, and this is 8 and 10K or so. Right now I'm just making a sliver of a frequency, and I'm just gonna move this around until I find something that is really shrill, like we just passed there. And that sort of shrill area there, that stuff that makes harshness in your track. So I'm just gonna, this is the threshold for the compression, and this is the amount of compression that I'm pulling out right now. And I'm just gonna find the frequency that might hurt the most, and get that out. And now we have a little bit of a sweeter situation. Now, as it comes to de-essing, you know, de-essing will often have to be done again in my mastering chain later on because of all the things that I'm going to do to it. You pick up sibilance, and sibilance is that those very harsh frequencies that are usually, you can identify them in a voice, like when you have a bad recording and you hear S's and T's. That's sibilance, and we'll deal with that later. But now that I've gotten pretty much my reductive EQ sort of under control, I'm gonna grab a little bit of a compressor. Maybe I'll go in and grab like an API 2500 for a little bit of initial bus compression. I don't like to go mad with it right now. I just want to kind of like get that initial, what Daniel White would call the sonic hug. And I want to have a very slow attack and a super fast release, and a very low ratio, 1.5. I can get down to 1.5. That's why I picked this one. Sometimes the glue compressor is used for this actual part of the job, but the glue compressor only goes down to 2 to 1 ratio. This one gets you to 1.5 to 1, or what they sometimes refer to as 3 to 2. And all I want is, though, to bring the threshold down, to just see that needle moving just a little bit, not much at all. All I really want is just this initial kind of like feeling of everything's okay. And now that that's in there, I'm going to move on to the next thing. And so it's just a little bit of initial bus compression, just a little bit, just to get that kind of working. So after the bus compression, then I'll start thinking about enhancing the track in ways. So in this case, you know, a little bit of enhancer EQ might be a nice thing to play with. I could go more Pultec now, but that would be like a third layer of Pultec, and I'm not sure that I need that much more low end in this track, but you never know. Let's get that. Yeah, I'm going to do it just for fun. I'm going to add a little bit of Pultec in there. Here are my vocals again.
Be legendary.
Be legendary, everybody.
Do
okay,
right
so let's
thing.
get that Pultec in there. And let's see. Just a little wee bit here.
Find your own magic.
just to kind of give everything a little bit of a low foundation there. This is important to dance music people. It has a nice low end. But I'm gonna
Believe you can do
also bring in the Neve 1073. Again, you know, I love that thing. The air you get from this thing is just incredible. So I don't want too much of it. I just want a little bit of air coming through this thing here. And now I could add all sorts of saturation, but I'm not going to go too crazy with the saturation. Maybe one thing that I like to add from time to time, maybe more than just from time to time, is going to be this this Oxford inflator. This Oxford inflator is a very interesting little booger of a plugin. All you do with this thing is you just turn it up, and it focuses on harmonics that are there already. Let's bring it to somewhere where things are more calm.
the right thing.
And it just pumps it up. The idea is that it pumps it up without actually metering much higher than it is. That it just
Find your
makes
own
the
magic.
apparent loudness come out. It's not necessarily a limiter or a compressor. It just really focuses on the
Believe you can do
on the
anything,
harmonics that are there already.
and you will.
Okay. And so after this, I usually, so this is, you may call this the EQ enhancing and maybe harmonics enhancing and saturation phase of my chain here. But usually after this, I'm gonna deal with a little bit of like of imaging. See how the imaging is presenting itself. So meaning stereo. How is the stereo there? Is it working? And I love this isotope imager because I could focus on low end like this. And this is interesting. We put the bass in mono before, and it's kind of, at points, it's still a little bit too stereo for my taste. So I'm gonna narrow it out a little more. Keep it in check here. Keep that stereo bass and subs, not just bass, but subs in check. And this is the frequency that I like to pump a little more. So if I make that more stereo or make it less stereo, you can hear the difference. See what I can do with this? So let's bring that out. And then the next frequency, bring that out a little bit as well. The last frequency, the air, I don't really like to bring that out that much. I mean, we could do a little bit, but now it's sounding pretty good. Let's and now after this is for me the moment that I'm always like, yeah, let's go for some maybe de-essing and see what happens again, because if anything, by now I should be witnessing some sibilance in my track. And let's just test it all the way through. And there's a little harshness there. Not too bad though. So I'll take that harshness there and like put a bit in check there. Just compress a little bit in that area. Okay, so got that going, and let's see what next. Oh, right now, I mean, we're almost at the end here of both the show and the chain. I'm gonna add a little bit of this Magic Death Eye. Kind of just bring it all together. Bring that filter in. Try that different algorithm there. And maybe push it into it. Now, I know it's in the red and that I'm going to have to compress it a bit here to get that. Try the second one here. Yeah, that's nice tightening there. And just to finish it off here, let's add a Fab Filter Pro L2, I guess. And of course, we want to have a negative 0.3, which is industry standard, I guess, for where this should be. The idea with the limiter versus the compressor, right? The limiter is going to like just prevent the gain from going up, and it uses look ahead in order to do so. So if I push this gain, it'll distort at a certain point. But if I add look ahead to it, the look ahead will keep that nice. Now I'm going to try different. I'm going to lower this here. I'm just going to try different algorithms to see which one's handling things better. I'll pump it. I usually love to exaggerate things like so that I know where things are going here. This is the transparent one. That's the punchy one. Dynamic. No, that's not going to be the one. All around. Move this back. Make some beats, please. No, that's not going to be the one. Aggressive. No, too aggressive. Modern one is not bad. Let's compare that to the transparent one. And remember, I'm pushing it like crazy right now, so. Modern versus punchy. Let's keep it modern. So of course I'm not gonna push it as much as I am. I'm gonna go to my master though, and the thing is, I want to get about a -6 or thereabouts. Okay, so I hope I'm not clipping it too bad on the stream. Lower it here on my mixing. But let's A/B this with the rest of the chain here. I mean, with the chain and without the chain. Let's see what happens. That's without the chain. You know, of course, it's going to be louder with the chain, but we got to make sure that with the chain. Look at this. Without the chain, this is clipping. You saw it go in the red here, like 1 dB over 0. That's without the chain. With the chain, it stays on the -0.3. Sounds a lot louder, a lot more put together. And once again, take the chain off and you'll see red soon. There you go. I went 2 dB over 0. So I got a feeling we're doing pretty good here. Yep. I think we're doing pretty good. So I'm going to save that and I'm going to call that mastered for now, at least, because we got to end the show. In the real case scenario, I would probably work on it, think it's good, shut it down, come back tomorrow, check it again with fresh ears, and rework it a bit. But for now, it sounds pretty good. I think we're in a position where things are a lot better than they were before the mastering chain was on there. So, yeah. Okay, so we're at the end of the show. Hey, if you like what you see, please give me a like. I'd like to, impress my friends with that. And subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get to 25K as fast as we can. Come and visit our website, 343labs.com. Check out our class schedules. Maybe you want to take a class with me. I have classes starting all the time. I teach Ableton and mixing and mastering. And we have both of those type of classes starting pretty soon. Other than that, come back tomorrow at 12 p.m. for John Selway's Techno Electro Saturdays. And I guess this is it. This is the end of the show. Thank you for joining me once again. Thank you for being patient and listening. I promise you this next week we will do something else, not this track. I think we've worked 4 weeks straight on this track. This track is done, at least for our concerns. And we'll come back and do something new next week. So take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.